Episode 57. What's up, Pokemon trainers? Dom from the Otaku room here, of always, here to talk about more Pokemon. Also, just wanted to show you, look at my Goodra. Anyways, 57. This was a fantastic episode. One of the things, that I already knew going into this, as I have recently been thinking about, like, what are my favorite Pokemon games of all time? And the most recent Scarlet and Violet has gotten a lot of hate, but the reality is it sold like 26 million copies, which means all those people who don't like the game, it sold better than probably any other games they like. Anyways, don't tell them that. But regardless, it's gotten a lot of hate, but I love Scarlet and Violet. And the reason that the games get hate is because, like, oh, it's not up to the graphical the trees, and sometimes there's a little stutter, there's like a little bit of frame drops, and like, honestly, if they just fix the frame pacing, the FPS of the game, like, nobody would really complain. Like, it's not exactly the most beautissimous game in the world. I think Pokemon Legends and Legends Arceus, or Arceus, whatever you want to call it, was a better looking game, and I think that's the prettiest Pokemon game to date so far. But I've put about 3 times the hours in Scarlet and Violet between 2 copies, because I have both copies of the game. I've played through both. I've played through the game actually 3 full times. I played through it once full for review, once through Violet for fun, and then once through Scarlet. Well, I played through it once for review. I played Scarlet for review on the gaming channel. Check that out in my description. I have my gaming channel there. But I played Scarlet once for review. I played Violet on stream all the way through to the end, slash for fun. And then I played Scarlet again for fun on a different profile. So I've played through the games multiple times, and I have a ton of hours into the games. And I really think that Paldea is the most interesting region that we've gotten since, like, Johto, or... Yeah, I really think it's the most interesting one we've gotten since... Yeah, I really think, like, since Johto... or maybe even like I like the Alolan region quite a bit too. Just region based, not game based. I mean, Johto's my favorite. So is it my favorite? I don't know. Again, I don't know. But Paldea is incredible, and episode 57 solidified that even more, because they talked about the history of Paldea. And I remember, when I was around like Liko and Roy's age, when I was a kid, I loved history. I loved it in school, and I loved it at home. Right when I was like their age was when the movie Pearl Harbor came out. That's pretty much, like, I think I was like 10 or 11 when that movie came out, and that sent me on a binge down watching all like World War II stuff and World War I stuff, and just really interesting stuff, with history, and especially world history, finding out more about what happened in different countries and the history of their countries, and, history of Japan, China. China is a really, really interesting when it comes to history. Out of all the regions in the world, I think China is probably the most interesting one. But regardless, like, history is awesome. So when this episode was talking about Paldean history, how, previously, before, during the Lucius's age, there was the Paldean Empire, and then the history teacher was talking about, like, well, before the Paldean Empire, like, who knows what there was from there on. And it's just thinking about that. It's like, that is just such a cool concept of history and time and everything else that this show is really covering, and how deep the lore is in Paldea. And I just think that is just like, that's just so cool. Learning more about that as kind of like the world kind of expands. Like, that's just a really, really cool thing to be able to explore. And I have to tell you, my Pokemon trainer juices were flowing when she was talking about, like, who knows what the world of when Lucius was alive, who knows, what the world looked like, who knows what this empire looked like, who knows what Terapagos has seen before. I thought that was really cool. And then calling out to that same concept, they talk about the Ghimmigoul's, and how, like, the Ghimmigoul's are like a modern version of what Pokemon have changed into. But then they also showed us the Knackle, the Knackle sack or whatever. They showed us Knackle, and Freed kind of gave us a lesson on Knackle, talking about, because, they came across a Knackle in the wild, and they talked about, oh, well, in more historical ancient times, Knackles used to be part of a seance, or exorcism, to where Taoist priests and stuff, when they come and they do their exorcism stuff, they would use Knackle because of salt. And I was like, man, that is such a really cool, in-depth, nerdy Pokemon history type thing, to know about, and how knuckles were used and stuff. And I was like, that is just so, so cool. So I have to tell you, like, I was just eating episode 57 up. And then, when Roy and them came across the walking form Ghimmigoul, and then when they came across the one in the treasure chest and how they basically just used Roy, and lots of call outs to the game, especially because Dot was like, oh, of course this is here. That's so expected. I was like, yeah, it is. I thought that was really cool. And then they talked about the Paldean Empire history and how like the towers, they basically gave towers in the game like a further reason to exist in the anime, of how like the Paldean Empire, they built up these towers so they could have watchtowers to really make sure that they're guarding their empire and stuff. And the fact that these are ruins and stuff left by the old ages, like that is just like, ugh. If I was in that world like that, I would I'd be excited like the teacher, like that. I would love to learn. I would just absorb like all of that and just like want to go out into the world and find more ruins and find more things. Like that is just such a cool life to live in that world. I thought that was just so cool. And although you could do some of those things here, it's just like when you add that Pokemon element, the Pokemon world to it, it's just like, it's so cool. But anyways, episode 57, I absolutely loved it. We got to see basically the completion of the terrestrialization course. And then the principal announced like, hey, there's the next course. They're going to head to separate gyms and they're going to participate in double battles. And the point of that is to use terrestrialization in those double battles, as well as they're kind of using an accompaniment of their two Pokemon partners, in the battle. So it's going to be really cool, as I think 𝐒𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥's heading up to Gresh's place, which is in the snow. And I think that's going to be really fun. But like, that's kind of like the next thing. So they're going to be, our group is heading out once again. Starting next episode, they're going to head out and they each have their own individual assignments once again. So I really love that. But this episode I thought was really, really, really good. And I just love the Paldean history piece of it, and 𝐒𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥's connection to Lucius and her connection to 𝐒𝐴𝑟𝑎𝑝agos, and her being able to kind of visualize, standing in the same place that Lucius may have stood in at some point as well, too. I was like, that is just so effing cool. So episode 57, I really loved it a lot. I understand that maybe not everybody did. If you didn't like this episode, let me know in the comments below. If you did, let me know in the comments why. And of course, I'll see you guys next week for, I think we're not skipping next week, right? I don't think I saw anything. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week for episode 58. I can't believe we're 58 weeks, or I mean, even more. This started in April of last year, I think it was, when this show started. So we're about, coming up to a year and a half of this show already. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Peace out, my friends.